India Smart Grid Forum for conveying this Indian leadership, already for several years. Oh, just a few words about the energy challenge. What are we all facing today? In a nutshell, the world energy demand is still climbing, and innovation must be fostered to keep up limiting greenhouse gas emissions and promoting sustainability in the cities with rapid growth. But now, customers have new, higher expectations of resiliency, but also at lower cost, and a growing demand for new services that are secure and also respecting their privacy. Smart energy is requiring more than ever the systemic engagement of many, many stakeholders, and standardization is now a master key to take up the challenge. I have had the pleasure to team up with many of you to craft a program that I hope you will all enjoy. So the conference program is designed to cover 7 major themes, highlighting international advancement on evolving trends and disruptive innovations, lessons learned from deployments all over the world, preparing for 100% of renewables, and facing cross-cutting challenges of interoperability and cybersecurity. The program is also showcasing the major ongoing efforts in India, the role of smart grid in the new programs of the Government of India, including Smart Grid for Smart Cities, and all the programs of the National Smart Grid Mission and the evolution of the Indian regulation. The conference program is combining theme sessions with plenary sessions, usually planned at the end of each day. The scheduling has been optimized, mainly in one major common track to allow participating easily to a maximum number of sessions. There is also a series of side events and special workshops running concurrently. And also, please make sure you don't miss the exhibition of innovative technologies opened all along the event. And also, there is a poster session there. We had a call for papers that was very successful. Over 100 papers were received. 28 have been selected for presentation tomorrow. This event is gathering sharpest leaders and experts from around the world to address the burning questions and share insights. Please share with me the excitement of this unique opportunity to discover what others are doing, to network, and to trigger collaboration ideas. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you very much, Mr. Schomburg. And ladies and gentlemen, with that, I would now like to introduce Mr. Chris Hickman, who provides the utility-centric vision for US-based Innovari's unique value proposition and strategy. Mr. Hickman has over 2 decades of utility industry experience spanning North and South America, India, Asia, Europe, and the Middle East, and ranging from power generation to regulation to end-use customer services and technologies. His current role at Inaugural furthers his efforts to improve the electric energy enterprise by leveraging new technologies and ideas. I now request Mr. Chris Hickman to please deliver the special address. Ladies and gentlemen, please help me welcome him.
Good morning and welcome. Dignitaries, ladies and gentlemen, especially all the power geeks in the room. This is our conference to really talk about the great things that are going on. And as Reggie said, I've been here for quite some time. 8 years ago, last week, as a matter of fact, sitting with Secretary Sean Carr, he said, Chris, you can do a lot of things around the world, but where might you have a bigger impact than in India? And that comment has guided our company and a lot of the different things that we have done. And we have been persistent. We've enjoyed our time in India like no other time anywhere else in the world. And for all of you that are living this every day in India, I come back basically every month and spend a week or two every month. So I have the opportunity to see transition occur. And it is amazing to me what has been accomplished in the last 5 years. You may not realize this, but out of 57 smart grid frameworks that I've had the sheer joy of being involved in around the world, nobody's is better than India's. India's has the single best smart grid framework as a national policy. There is not another one that is better. Why? You didn't feel the need to write 900 pages like we did in America. You actually made it legible, right? It's an easy read, and it has something really, really unique in it. It has metrics. We're not contributing to global carbon emissions through just talk here, right? This is actually action with measurements. It has defined key principal thought processes in a readable fashion with metrics associated with them, and is the best framework anywhere in the world. And because of that, and because of the incredible effort from the ministry, from ISGF, this framework is allowing both from a national basis and a state basis for people to coordinate with a common vision. So they can have a document that helps guide the base level things that everybody wants to occur. So we are incredibly excited as a company to be here in India. We're very, very proud to be the sponsor this year in partnership with the host utility, Mr. Sinha. And we've got very exciting news that we'll be announcing throughout the course of this conference and participating. So on behalf of Inaugural and our 4 offices here in India and all of our employees, I'd like to welcome you to the conference. I'd like to reemphasize to you that there is something really, really special going on in India. We absolutely believe that India will be the first nation to leapfrog on the electric side of the grid and create a new operational grid. Okay, out of all the rest of the world, the US, Europe will not do it because we are not growing. And because we are not growing, we do not have the opportunity that exists in India. India will be, just as you did in telecom, you will leapfrog in the industry sector of electricity and be the first nation with the most optimized grid in the world. And we're incredibly proud to be a part of that. Thank you all for having us, and I hope you enjoy the week.
Thank you very much, Mr. Hickman. And ladies and gentlemen, we have on the dais Mr. Henry Stanga, who serves as Regional Director for South and Southeast Asia at US Trade and Development Agency, where he assists US companies and overseas sponsors to implement USTDA-funded development projects and innovative public-private partnerships that lead to increased trade. He brought over 20 years of international experience in energy and other infrastructure sectors to USTDA, and particularly in 2008 and 2009, he's been instrumental in building the agency's clean energy and climate change portfolio in the priority markets of India, Indonesia, Pakistan, and the Philippines. I now request Mr. Henry Stanga to please deliver the special address. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Henry Stanga.
Thank you so much. And I was just asked if my name was said correctly. And when I was here a year ago, I was Henry with a Y, but apparently I've become French since last year's Smart Grid Forum. But I think it's correct in either fashion. So I'm happy to be here on behalf of my agency, the U.S. Trade and Development Agency, but I think more broadly, on behalf of our government, the U.S. government, who is very happy and very proud, I think, to be part of this very robust growth of smart grid activities in India. And the many activities that are being undertaken in India with U.S. government support and those without are, as Chris Hickman rightly recognized, really are a leadership profile for what is needed and what is possible in the development of an electric grid that has to serve so many purposes in modernizing the lives of daily daily lives of people here in India and across many emerging markets, but increasingly are part of what is a very rapid growth of the urban infrastructure. And when I look at those activities that we have been able to support, they're based in many of the objectives that have been touched on already, related to achieving greater efficiencies in the energy sector, reducing the impact, the greenhouse gas emissions and other environmental impacts that the power sector is responsible for helping provide the services that are needed for growth of the modern economy. These are very important reasons why the US government is involved in supporting smart grid development in India and modernization of grid infrastructure here and in many locations. The programs that we support are ones that, by definition, involve the participation of US companies who we believe are leaders in this domain. And I'm very happy to share the stage with some that we have been able to support here in India as well as elsewhere. And when we look at the smart grid arena, for us it grows out of activities that started over 20 years ago related to automation in the electric power sector, things like SCADA, support that we provided here in India with Tata Power Delhi Limited. We're responsible for helping them produce a system to track outages and help manage electricity outages. And I look forward to hearing from Mr. Sinha about the great achievements that have been made in this region of India related to the smart grid. The US government has a very robust energy dialogue with India. This dialogue covers topics ranging from nuclear power cooperation to renewable energy cooperation to things related to modernization of power systems across many domains. And smart grid has become a very important part of that dialogue. We have a cooperation known as PACE-D, the Partnership to Advance Clean Energy, and the D stands for deployment. Deployment is where we are today. I think what we will hear are about some of the many activities that are moving beyond the pilot stage and going directly to deployment. Our agency has been able to support activities with distribution utilities in 4 of India's largest cities, here in Delhi, in Mumbai with Reliance Infrastructure, in Kolkata with CESC, in Bangalore with BESCOM, and one of our sister agencies, the US Agency for International Development, has a very large program looking at the developments in smart grid, working particularly with the state-owned distribution sector. All in, there are probably about 35 different activities just in the arena of smart grid that the US government is supporting. But these are already beginning to generate new activities that US companies are taking up directly with some of these utilities. And our support, which occurs at the beginning stage, the feasibility and the pilot stage of many projects, is not successful unless it moves to that deployment stage. And that is something that I think this conference, this week of activities designed to generate more deployment in India truly represents. We are really proud of the activities we've taken on here in India, but I think, as Chris mentioned, it's largely because of the leadership that India has taken. Projects that India has undertaken through our support are now featuring in similar expositions and conferences taking place in Turkey, for example, where Tata's activities have featured. Activities in Latin America are beginning to mirror some of those that are taking place here in India. In every case, these are peculiar to the setting where they occur and have features that are relevant to that setting. I think one of the most important developments that we have seen in the last year is also reflected here in this exposition. And I was very happy to see a session on the third day of the conference, Smart Grids as Anchor Infrastructure for Smart Cities, I believe is the title. This, to us, is very key. We have been enjoined to support the urbanization efforts in India that demand the development of smart cities. I think it goes without saying that people participating in this event recognize the importance of the grid as the anchor infrastructure, and I think the ideas there are intrinsic to smart grid and ones that we very much ourselves want to pursue and follow. The reason for our participation here is not only because of our support for some of these activities, but the opportunity for us to learn from those developments, to learn about the innovations that private companies are bringing to the utility sector, but also some of the applications and the reach to other smart city applications. I was very pleased to meet yesterday with Secretary Pujari from the Ministry of Power. And I think the Indian government also has recognized the importance of bridging the activities of different ministries, bringing them together in support of the large Smart Cities initiative that Prime Minister Modi has launched. And the power sector is key to that development of smart cities, and look forward very much, Secretary Pujari, for your ministry's continued involvement, not only in the grid, but in the smart city development arena. There are so many things to do that we know that our limited resources are not sufficient to support the legitimate development interests that utilities have, the partnerships they seek to develop, and often facing a lack of resources to do that early planning stage. This is an area where we hope to provide more support, but we know that we cannot do that alone. When we sponsored a smart grid workshop in Bangalore last year, linked to the Smart Grid Week events, we were able to benefit from the presence of many of the practitioners like yourselves and experts in this arena to help define better our programs. It's partly responsible, I would say, for our involvement now in the smart cities development arena. And I'm really pleased, Reggie, to see the sponsorship that you've obtained. In many ways, you've taken our job, made our job easier by putting together this on an annual basis and helping drive some of the programming directions that we look to pursue. So again, I'm very happy to be here to help welcome US participants, to recognize India's leadership and to recognize the important activities that this arena of development is showing for the combination of private sector involvement, working with governments in an area that demands innovation in how new investments are invested in, how they are regulated, and how they are adopted as part of the ongoing modernization of the energy sector here in India, and its important role in the development of urban infrastructure throughout the country. So with that, I will finish and look forward very much to the discussions over the next couple of days here. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. And ladies and gentlemen, I now have the opportunity of introducing Mr. Alok Joshi, Chairman, National Technical Research Organization, Government of India. Mr. Alok Joshi was Chief of Research and Analysis Wing, the External Intelligence Agency of India. He joined the Indian Police Service, Haryana Cadre in 1976, and he rose through his ranks and later in 2005 became the Joint Director of the Intelligence Bureau, the Internal Intelligence Agency of India. In 2010, he was appointed as a Special Secretary at RAW, and he took over as Secretary on 30th December 2012. He took over as the Chairman of the National Technical Research Organization in July 2015. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Mr. Alok Joshi.
Thank you, and good morning to all of you, ladies and gentlemen. As chairman of the National Technical Research Organization, which also has the National Critical Information Infrastructure Protection Center under its wings, it is my unenviable duty to take care of the critical infrastructure as power has been declared part of it. We are pleased to be associated with the India Smart Grid Week as a co-partner, and together we have had the opportunity of auditing and reviewing the functioning of 7 utilities in the power sector in the last 1 year. And on the basis of the audit that we had undertaken in association with the